Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking every single new foundation I tried in 2024 from worst to best. I have close to 24 foundations in front of me, which means I tried on average about 2 foundations per month in 2024, and I gotta say we tried a lot of amazing foundations this year. Some of my favorite ones happen to also be pretty budget friendly, so I cannot wait to share my list and the way I ranked everything with you. There was only one foundation that I found truly did not work for me or most people, but for the most part I feel like a lot of the foundations I tried this year were pretty good. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I do have all of these foundations listed and linked down below in the description box of this video, so make sure you check out the links if you're interested in any of my favorites. And I'll have majority of the foundations tagged throughout the video as well. Let me preface my foundation ranking by saying I have desert dry skin, especially around my mouth area, and so the things I'm mainly looking for in foundations are foundations that are going to be hydrating, that are going to be weightless, that are going to be seamless, that are going to look natural on my skin. I prefer foundations that have a medium buildable coverage with a natural finish, and so those are going to be obviously the ones that are going to rank higher for me, the ones that don't dry me out, etc. So let me begin with the worst foundation I tried in 2024, and I think I'm going to be brief about the worst ones because who cares, right? This one is in the 21st spot. I just counted them. I have 21 foundations in front of me, and the worst foundation I tried this year, and the only one that I would not recommend to anyone is this one right here. This is the Anastasia Beauty Balm. I have mine in shade 7. To make it very quick and simple, this just does not have enough coverage. I feel like it kind of sits on top of the skin, and I didn't like much about it. Not even for my most natural days do I want a foundation like this one, because it gave me absolutely nothing, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. And whatever little it does cover, I just don't like the texture of it or how it feels on my skin. So this one is the worst foundation I tried this year at number 21. In the 20th spot, I have a foundation I already gifted away, and this one is one of the most viral foundations of 2024, but it simply did not work for me and my very dry skin. And I am talking about the REPHR foundation, in particular the one that comes in the red packaging that you're seeing on the screen. It simply is way too drying for me. I did not like the way it felt on my skin, because as soon as I put it on, it became a little bit too matte looking, and then a few hours later I was looking dry and textured. This foundation is amazing. A lot of people absolutely love it. If you have dry skin though, I would not recommend that you try it, because with my very dry skin I had zero luck with this one. I still want to try the one in the silver packaging because I heard that's the one that might work best for me. So maybe that'll be one that I try next year. But for me, the REPHR foundation, it was definitely a no. Very drying. Amazing coverage, by the way, but extremely drying. At number 19, I have this one right here from OYS Beauty, which is honestly a huge shame. OYS Beauty came out with cream foundations this year. Usually my shade with them is medium light 1 or light medium 1. Anyways, this one, I don't know what it is about the formula of this stick foundation. I just don't like the way it sits on my skin. If you look at me and I'm wearing this foundation, I feel like it looks good. It has a beautiful glowy finish and it covers everything I need covered, but this stick foundation formula for my skin type does not sink in. I put it on, I blend it out, and it just sits on top of my skin. It kind of has that like wet sticky feeling to it because it's not sinking in, and so for that reason it's one of my least favorite foundations I tried this year. I do love the OYS liquid foundation, is one of my all-time favorites in my collection, period, but this stick one just did not work for me. If I'm going to be honest with you, there are very few stick foundations that I love. Anyways, this is number 19. At number 18, I have the Sigma Skin Perfector Hydrating Tint. This one right over here. It's not bad. It has a glowy finish and a light coverage. As I said at the beginning of the video, I simply prefer things that have a medium buildable coverage. The coverage on this one is way too light for me. It doesn't fully cover my redness, and then if you build it up, it becomes a bit too thick I also prefer thinner formulas. I should have said that. It becomes a little bit too thick if you try to build it up. And again, this is one of those products that feels like it's sitting on my skin, that has a bit of a tacky feel to it, especially because I don't like powdering my whole face. So it just did not work for me. In particular, the main thing, that the coverage wasn't there for me. It's too light of coverage for me, and I have redness on my cheeks that I definitely always want covered. At number 17, this is probably the bougiest foundation I tried in 2024. I wanted to love it, but it ended up at the back of the list, unfortunately, and I'm talking about this one right here. This is the Christian Louboutin foundation. I got mine in shade 20C, and it worked okay for me. I didn't hate it. Starting from here on out, I feel like I sort of kind of like everything, but I wasn't obsessed with this one. It's a pricey foundation, and it's a little bit too matte for me and a little bit too drying as well. This one looked good in my regular dry areas, but in my desert dry area, which is usually around my mouth, it did get a little bit dry textured looking, especially like right here, because the formula just does not agree with my very dry skin. I think this one would probably be perfect for normal combination and even oily complexions. For me, it was simply a bit too drying. With that said, I don't think I hated it. I could make it work, but it's just not a formula that is super exciting to me. I had the same exact issue with the next two foundations. At number 16, I have the Urban Decay Face Bond Foundation. This foundation is honestly not even advertised for dry skins like mine. It's advertised for normal to oily complexions, and if you have a normal to oily complexion, it probably is one of your favorite foundations. On me, it does get a bit dry looking, a bit too matte, a bit textured around my mouth area after I'm wearing it for a few hours. Can I make it work? Yes. I can maybe moisturize or prime a little extra to make this one work for me, but ultimately it's just not a formula that agrees with my very dry skin. So this one is number 16. At number 15, very similarly, the One Size Beauty Turn Up the Base foundation. Even though this one is not advertised for my dry skin, I think I can make this one work a little better than the Urban Decay one, a little better than the Christian Louboutin one. It doesn't always get dry on my face. This one has a tiny bit more moisture in it, but it is once again a very full coverage foundation with a natural to matte finish that ultimately is not made for my skin type, and it does sometimes after a few hours get dry on my skin, and so for that reason it's number 15. But I did kind of like this one actually, and I can make it work. I just have other formulas in front of it that work even better for me. I will say one very positive thing about the One Size Beauty foundation and the Urban Decay Face Bond foundation for me is that both of these foundations have a very thin consistency to them that sink right into the skin, and so they get extra points for that, because that is a formula that I love in foundations. At number 14, I have a far more hydrating foundation that has a bit more of a thicker formula to it, and that is its biggest downfall for me. I'm talking about the Makeup Forever HD Skin Hydra Glow Foundation. I have mine in shade 2N22. This foundation works for me. It's hydrating. I can wear it for long periods of time, and I like it okay. The only reason it's a little bit further back on my list is that it's not a thin foundation that sinks right into the skin. It has a bit more of a creamy formula that lingers on top of my skin a little more. I feel sometimes the need to have to add a little bit of extra powder with this one, and so for that reason this is number 14. I like it, I can use it, I can make it work. There's nothing wrong with it, except it just isn't that perfect, thin, sink right in, super seamless formula that I love. This one looks a bit more makeup-y, and so for that reason this is number 14. At number 13, I have a foundation that truly surprised me this year, because when I put it on I was like, is this a foundation or am I putting on a highlighter? But it ended up actually working for me, and I do like it, and so for that reason it's around the middle of the pack this year. I am talking about the Charlotte Tilbury Unreal Skin Sheer Glow Tint. This foundation, you guys, is pretty glowy. Take a look right there. See how much glow this one has. Honestly, more glow than I'm comfortable with when it comes to foundations, which makes me put it around the center of the list. With that said, it is a beautiful hydrating foundation with a medium buildable coverage formula that has a very thin consistency and sinks right into the skin. The fact that it's glowy does not mean it enhances your texture, because I do not find it texture enhancing at all. That was my biggest worry with it, and I found that once you set it with a bit of translucent powder, all of the glow gets super toned down and you end up with a foundation that looks really, really good on the skin. Is it my favorite formula I tried this year? It is not, and so that is why this one is at number, did I say 13? I think it's 13. At number 12, I actually have another foundation that comes in a stick, and it is a cream foundation. My last cream foundation from the ones I tried this year, and I am talking about the Dior Skin Foundation. I have mine in the shade 2N, and I like this foundation quite a bit. I've been using it a lot lately, to be honest with you, but again, I think just cream foundations aren't my most preferred to reach for formula, and so it makes me a little less excited. I will say this foundation, as you saw the moment I blended it out on the back of my hand, has a beautiful blurring finish to it. It hides your pores. It has a nice natural to matte finish to it, and that matte finish is also something else that pushed it a bit back in my ranking, because even though like 80% of the time I can wear it and it looks really good on my skin, I've worn it enough now that I do sometimes notice around my driest area, around my mouth area, it can get a little dry looking at times, which also is a bit of a deterrent for me. With that said, I love the ease of use. I can literally just draw this on real quick and spread it out with my hands, and it looks fantastic. It covers my redness. I like the finish of it. It blurs my pores. Unfortunately, it does sometimes get a little bit dry around the mouth area. If you have normal skin or combination skin, this foundation is probably going to be fantastic for you, if I'm going to be honest, because it's a beautiful formula. I just wish I could infuse moisture into this area and I would be happy. At number 11, I have a skin tint that I absolutely loved when I first tried it, but then I realized that it was unfortunately a little too drying for me as well. I'm talking about the new Lisa Eldridge skin tint that came out this year. It is called the Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint. And here's why it first worked amazingly for me, and then I realized it was drying my face out a little. This one came out around summertime when it was a bit more humid here in Georgia, and I could make it work so beautifully. This one has that perfect formula that I love. It has a thin consistency. It looks seamless on the face. It sinks right into the skin. It kind of like disappears, but the coverage is there. I loved the formula of this skin tint. Very, very unfortunately, however, once it got a little bit colder out and I kept wearing it, I realized that it does sometimes get a little bit dry looking around my mouth area, which is the most unfortunate thing ever, because otherwise this formula is exactly the type of formula I love in a foundation. It disappears on the skin, it covers my redness, and it looks beyond natural. It's so incredible. I just wish I didn't have super dry skin, and it would rank probably as my number 1 this year because it is that good. But because my skin is very dry around my mouth area, it does look a little heavy there, a little textured sometimes when it gets dry. If I lived in Miami still, this would be my number 1 foundation of the year, but I don't, so it's number 11. Let's get started with the top 10, and at number 10 I have Natasha Denona's High Glam Powder Foundation. For a powder foundation to be ranked this high, it has to be a fantastic foundation, okay? This foundation is incredible. It has a beautiful coverage. It blurs the skin. It applies seamlessly. It covers my redness. It doesn't even look like it's a powder foundation once I'm done applying it. I just prefer my liquid foundations. Powders don't make me as excited, and so for that reason it ranks a little further back for me, but I honestly don't really have complaints about this one. I love it. For a powder foundation, this one is a 10 out of 10. It is fantastic. Moving on to my 9th most favorite foundation this year, and that is this one right here, the Kosas BB Burst. My biggest worry with this one was that it wasn't going to have enough coverage and my redness was going to show through it, but that does not happen with it. It is a thin foundation with a beautiful natural finish. It covers my redness enough. It looks natural. My skin looks hydrated. I honestly really don't have much to complain about when it comes to this one, except there's others that I feel a little more excited about. This is a fantastic everyday foundation and I love it. Again, not much to complain about. And this one I have in light medium neutral 21. It says light buildable coverage, hydrating, smoothing, blurring, vibrant, fresh look. I agree with all of that. It's fantastic. I just have other formulas I like even better in front of it. Like for example, the foundation in the 8th spot, which is a very affordable foundation that truly surprised me this year. I'm talking about this new Morphe Lightform foundation. This foundation is so beautiful. It has a beautiful medium buildable coverage. It hides away imperfections so nicely. It has a seamless thin formula that sinks right in. Once it dries down, it has a pretty spot-on natural finish to it, not too glowy, not too matte. It looks like a second skin on the face. It does not dry out my skin. It covers all of my redness. I truly have not a lot of complaints about this one. I absolutely loved it. I think like starting with the Kosas one, I love every foundation I'm going to talk about, and this is obviously one of those. What else can I tell you about it? For a Morphe product, it truly surprised me because I believe it's made either in Italy or Korea. It doesn't say it on the bottle, but I remember it was made either in Italy or Korea. It's a glass bottle, beautiful packaging, nothing to complain about. It's a 10 out of 10 foundation. I loved it, and this is number 8 this year. At number 7, I have one that I tried rather recently that I absolutely loved, and it surprised me because it's Huda Beauty. And for the most part, Huda Beauty foundations in the past have always been kind of heavy and matte looking on me, too makeup-y, not as natural as I would like, and this one actually meets all of my expectations, which I absolutely love. I'm talking about the Easy Blur foundation from Huda Beauty, of course. This one I got in the shade Custard 220 Neutral, and it is a perfect shade for me. This foundation is fantastic. It has a beautiful, lightweight, creamy formula with a fantastic medium coverage, a natural finish to it. It looks seamless on the face. It makes me look and feel flawless. It never gets dry on my very dry skin. Anyone that has a very dry to combination skin, I feel, can absolutely use and love this foundation. It's fantastic. I highly, highly recommend it. It's definitely another one that was a 10 out of 10 for me. At number 6, I have this one here from PATRICIAALONSO, the PATRICIAALONSO Major Skin Hydra Luxe Luminous Skin Perfecting Foundation. This foundation I got in the shade 10 Neutral, and I could still go a little darker, I feel like, but 10 Neutral is okay for me. They are deceivingly light. First of all, one of the most exciting things, I know this is shallow because it's simply packaging, but one of the most exciting things for me when it comes to makeup, the formula has to be good, okay? But I also really love packaging, and this is the best packaging in a foundation I tried this year. If this ranking was based on me liking the packaging, this would be number 1. Anyways, this beautiful Luxe foundation has a fantastic formula that is glowy, that is extremely hydrating. If you have dry skin, I honestly haven't heard a lot of people with oily or combination skin liking this one. So if you have combination or oily skin, you probably won't like it as much as if you have dry skin. But if you have dry skin like me, you will obsess over it, which is what I've been doing ever since I tried it. As you can see, it has a beautiful glowy finish. It is extremely hydrating on the skin. It doesn't sink right in, okay? That is also a bit of a downfall to it. I don't find that it sinks right into the skin. I find that it takes a little while for it to settle, but it does settle on my skin, and it wears for a very, very long period of time without any issues. I look glowy and hydrated and flawless all day with this one. It has a beautiful medium buildable coverage. I really like it. I really do like this one. Again, definitely pay attention to your skin type before you buy it, because not everyone loved it as much as I did. But if your skin is like mine, if you have dry skin and you like a foundation with a glowy finish and a medium coverage, I think you will absolutely love this one as much as I do. I don't have any complaints about this one. I do wish that it would dry down a little faster on the skin, but because it has all of those hydrating ingredients, it does take it a little bit more time to fully settle. However, it looks beautiful and I absolutely love it. We've gotten to the top 5 foundations I tried in 2024. These are my most loved / most used foundations this year. Starting with one that I tried, I would say rather recently, but not too recently. I've had it for maybe 2 to 3 months at this point and I am obsessed. I love it. This one is not advertised for my skin type either. However, it works great on my skin. I am talking about the Born This Way Soft Matte Oil Control Foundation, 24-hour wear foundation with hyaluronic acid. This foundation, you guys, even though it says oil control and that it has a soft matte finish, looks fantastic on my skin. It has never ever made me look dry. It has never failed me in that way, okay? It has a beautiful formula that is creamy to thin, and it has a great coverage, a natural finish. I wouldn't say it has a soft matte finish. To me, it has a natural finish. Sinks right into the skin. Medium buildable coverage. All of my redness is gone. Extremely long wearing. It's a formula that is creamy, but it thins out and looks very natural on the face. I honestly think this foundation will work for anyone from super dry skins like mine to oily skins. This one's pretty universal. I've seen people with oily skin giving it a great review, and me with my very dry skin also really love it. It is a 10 out of 10 foundation. The coverage is amazing. The blendability, everything I've paired it with, it works with. It is a fantastic formula, and I highly recommend it. My 4th most favorite foundation I tried this year is actually a foundation tint, and you can see I used it quite a bit. I'm talking about the Supergoop Protect Tint Foundation. This one is fantastic because it has an SPF of 50 and my shade is 24 Neutral. This foundation has a creamy formula with a glowy finish, incredible protection for your skin. Even though it's a tint, the coverage of this tint is incredible and you can build it up to a beautiful medium coverage. It has a glowy finish. Take a look right here. Creamy formula that sinks right into the skin with a beautiful glowy finish. It is long lasting, SPF 50. It just looks fantastic. It keeps me looking hydrated all day, and even though it has this beautiful glowy finish to it and all of that hydration, this one sinks right in. It doesn't linger on top of the skin. You don't need to add any extra powder to set it, anything like that. And like I said, it is beautiful. Again, my 4th most favorite foundation I tried in 2024. And usually I'm very seasonal when it comes to skin tints. I usually reach for them mostly during the spring and summer time, maybe a little beginning of fall, because if I'm going to be out, I like that they offer me a little extra protection even if I'm wearing SPF underneath. But I have found myself reaching for this foundation on a regular basis. It's not weather specific for me. I just really like the way it looks on my skin, and so I've been reaching for it non-stop since it came out. It is a year-round foundation for me. My 3rd most favorite foundation I tried in 2024 was actually the first foundation I tried in 2024, which is this one right over here, the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream. This one has an SPF of 30. It is a full coverage, long-lasting foundation with a dewy finish, and I feel like it delivers in everything it claims. Plus, it is a very affordable foundation. Here is the swatch of it, so you can take a look yourself. dewy finish, full coverage. It's a thin formula, sinks right into the skin. It is a hydrating formula as well, I must add. It looks really good on my very dry skin. It lasts for a very long time and it looks seamless and flawless, and just a 10 out of 10 formula once again that I absolutely love. This is actually, I think, my most affordable foundation I tried this year, and it made it all the way to my number 3 spot. So if you're looking for a fantastic foundation to use on a regular basis, I could not possibly recommend this one more. I love it. It is such a fantastic formula. I have a lot of foundations in my collection. This one I only tried this year, and I would say I'm like more than halfway done with this bottle because I have kept on reaching for it even after trying so many others because I love it that much. It is a fantastic formula. Great affordable foundation that looks like perfection on my skin. You can't ask for anything better. However, I do have another 2 foundations still ahead of the e.l.f. one that I absolutely love. My second most favorite foundation I tried in 2024 was the Fenty Beauty Soft Lit Foundation, which is honestly unexpected because in the past, Fenty foundations never worked that well for me, and this one is pure perfection. This one has a beautiful medium formula with a natural to glowy finish to it. It's a thin formula that spreads super easily. It sinks right into the skin. It makes me feel flawless. I love how natural this looks on my face. It is long lasting. It is hydrating. It has this lit from within type of look to it. It's not super glowy, but it definitely has a bit more glow than a natural foundation. It is undetectable on the skin. Just a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic formula that I absolutely love and has worked wonders for me ever since I tried it. Honestly, this has been a fantastic year for me when it comes to new foundation launches, because I guess the trend now is a bit more natural than it used to be. It used to be a bit more full coverage matte finish in past years, and this year I feel like the trend was very natural looking complexion, medium coverage type foundations, which is exactly what I love. So a lot of the foundations that launched this year have worked wonders for me. The Fenty one being one of them. I fell in love with this formula, and so that makes this foundation my second most favorite foundation of 2024. Which brings us to my most favorite foundation I tried this year. I have not been able to stop using this foundation ever since I tried it. I love this formula with a passion, and I'm actually not even sure that this was a foundation that launched this year. The reason I tried it this year was because back in the spring, I went on a creators and friends trip to New Orleans, and it was right around the Sephora savings event, the spring Sephora savings event, and so some of the girls there were doing content on like their favorite foundations and whatnot, and a lot of people mentioned the About Face foundation. And along with the About Face foundation, a lot of these girls would mention one of my all-time favorite foundations ever, which I've loved for years, which is the Pat McGrath foundation. And I was like, well, if they like the Pat McGrath as much as I do, and they have this About Face foundation that they also love, I must try it, right? I am so glad I did. So glad I did. This foundation is at Ulta, you guys, and it's a $20 foundation. And I gotta say, the formula kind of is pretty similar to the Pat McGrath formula. So if you love the Pat McGrath foundation formula, this is a fantastic, more affordable alternative. This one has a doe foot applicator. I know some people don't love that about it, that it doesn't have a pump, so beware. However, it does have a beautiful natural finish. It's the foundation I've been wearing this whole video, so you can see the full extent of how natural and beautiful it looks like right here on my skin. As I was saying, it has a beautiful, beautiful medium coverage to it. My shade is a bit tanner than I am, but I love it that way, okay? Beautiful medium coverage. It's not going to ever be a full coverage foundation, by the way. I don't think it can be built up that much, but it does have a beautiful medium coverage. It has a beautiful natural to glowy finish, and the formula is very, very, very thin, which I absolutely love. It sinks right into the skin and it looks undetectable and flawless. This one is like your skin but better, which is also what I love about the Pat McGrath foundation. You will never look makeup-y with this one. It's kind of this layer of like skin perfection that gets added to your face, and it is a beautiful foundation with the most natural finish, a beautiful medium coverage, and it just looks and feels undetectable on the skin. It sinks right in and disappears. This is the foundation for when you don't want to feel like you're wearing foundation, which honestly, that's most days for me. I love foundations that I don't feel on my face like a mask, that I put on and the feeling of foundation disappears. This one, this is the one for you. Again, my number one foundation of 2024. I obviously highly recommend it, could not possibly recommend it enough, and it's made it all the way to like one of the top foundations in my entire makeup collection, not just of the ones that I tried this year. Add to that the fact that it's a pretty affordable foundation. Again, could not possibly recommend it enough. If you have not tried the About Face foundation yet, you absolutely definitely need to. I truly hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. If you're getting any of the foundations I mentioned in today's video, please use the products I tagged on the screen or the links I'm leaving you in the description box below, and I would love to know, so please comment down below what your favorite foundation is. It doesn't have to be this year's foundation. What is your must-have, ultimate, most favorite foundation you have ever tried? Please let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to know. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you back in the next video. Bye.